I want to give you these 6 keys to soul winning. Number 1, pray each day and ask Jehovah to put someone in your path to minister to. This is important. Number 2, ask Jehovah to show you who he or she or who he is sending your way. 3, be sensitive to the voice of Jehovah during the course of the day. This is vital, just being a person of faith. Because the Bible tells us that those who are led by the Spirit, they are the sons and daughters. How are you going to be led by his Spirit if you can't hear his voice? 4, listen to Jehovah's voice while you are speaking with people. Because remember, even as I'm talking, and I've shared this with you before, there's my voice, but there's his voice. And what's important is that you hear his voice, and when he begins to speak while I'm speaking, he rules. I don't have a problem with people turning me off when he has turned them on. As a matter of fact, I look for it. I hope for it. Otherwise, my preaching is in vain. The whole goal of the prophet, the apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastors, and teachers is to perfect the saints. Perfect them for what? The main thing is getting them connected with him. You see, I would much rather people connect to him than me, but I know in order for them to be connected to him, Father is going to use some me's. He will use people like you, like me, like us, to connect people to him, because how can they hear unless someone is sent? How can they hear unless somebody preaches or teaches? Because that's where faith comes from. Faith comes from hearing, and hearing by the word, and all of us who have come into faith came by hearing the word, and we will help others come into faith by sharing the word of faith, which leads me to number 7 or 5. Practice the presence of Jehovah all day, every day. If you practice his presence, you'll know, because what's the point of asking him to put somebody across your path when he does it and you don't recognize it? Because if he's bringing them to you and you're in tune with him, he's going to say, here's the opportunity you prayed for this morning. Let me tell you something about prayer. Prayer can become something you do to appease your conscience. Well, I'm a believer, so I pray. There are too many times we pray out of habit. It's prayer time. I need to pray. Pray, talk to the Almighty, and then the next time you talk to him, it's when you lay me down to sleep. Or if you are the way prayer is intended, which is to be a communication, a communing. If you're communing with him, then what happens is that he's ordering your step during the course of the day. He's giving you instructions during the course of the day. He's revealing things to you during the course of the day. He's putting words in your mind, words in your heart, words in your spirit during the course of the day. He's giving you words for people. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm just sensing this right now, that many of you have gotten words, seen things, and ignored them. He's shown you people to talk to, but you were too busy. He's put people across your path, gave you a word for them, and you thought about it and wrestled whether or not you should share it. And ultimately, what kept you from sharing is the fear you've allowed to live with you, which is not supposed to be a part of you, because fear will keep you from walking in faith. your heart beating fast because you don't know whether the word you got is from him, and if you give it to that person, what are they gonna think? And what if they reject it? And what if they don't accept it? And what if it makes me look foolish, especially if I'm talking to somebody I don't know, a complete stranger? Well, most of the people you know now at one point were strangers. You didn't know them. And because our society has taught us about friendship, oftentimes we try to maintain friendships from childhood into adulthood when they may not be the friends that the Almighty has ordained for you. Those friends bring out something in you that shouldn't even be there. Those friends take you down that road you have come from. Those friends have a tendency to remind you and to evoke and resurrect that old man that you're supposed to be killing. And Father be trying to cut some of them off, but you won't let him. That's my friend. Question. In fact, challenge. Every friend that you have that was not made in Messiah. Every person that you know that you're hanging out with that you got to know before you became a follower of Messiah. Because if you've become a follower of Messiah and you got friends who are in that old way of life, their values and your values are different values. You don't have the same value. And how are you going to walk together? Either you're going to bring them into you or they're going to pull you back into them. What other options do you have? Preach Yeshua. Number 6, not your belief. I remember when I was evangelizing, and I had my methods. I used to wear a pen with 2 question marks. Some of you would know what that is. You know, it's Evangelism Explosion, Dr. Kennedy. And I trained people in Evangelism Explosion. And the pen with the 2 questions was, you know, if you died today, where you going to live? Where you going? Heaven or hell? And if you were to stand before God today and he asked you, why should I let you into my heaven? What you going to say? And from there, it's a script. And if you learn the scripts, you know how to maneuver people into a corner to where they have no choice but to buy your whatever it is you're selling them. It's salesmanship. And oftentimes, people buy stuff they never use. Look at some of the stuff you got. But if he's speaking to you, don't give people you because they'll connect to you. You give people him because the goal is to connect them to him. So don't preach you and your belief, preach Yeshua. Now, of course, he can use your testimony. Of course, he can use your experiences. But the key is that if he's not telling you to use your experience, keep your experience out the conversation. Because now your experience can be a hindrance when you're trying to use it as a means to get somebody closer and then ultimately pushes them away. It's important that your ears be in tune with him while you're ministering to other people.
For more information, visit www.arthurbaileyministries.com or call 888-899-1479. House of Israel International Services is made possible through financial contributions from brothers and sisters like you. Thank you.